Hi and welcome to the All Guns Blazing podcast. I'm Lumos, today joined by
TT
and special guest
Nicky Hawkins
from West Ham Fan TV. Now apologies, Robbie couldn't be with us here today. He's still seeing his father. He's not well at the moment, so wish him all the best. But how are you feeling, man? How's the week been for you?
Yeah, week's been alright.
It's a bit more positive than last week for Arsenal fans.
Most definitely.
Kind of picked ourselves off the ground somewhat.
Yeah, and as usual, when things are bad at Arsenal, Tottenham come along and make it feel a lot better.
I'm sure you enjoyed that.
I did enjoy
Tottenham
it.
In the FA
The
Cup.
thing is, I had an extra vested interest in it because our game would have been moved because of that.
Yeah.
And when they went 1-0 up, I'm texting sort of like, we're going to move this to a Wednesday or whatever. But no, they done me a favour in the end. So.
And then at the end of the game,
dire situation. You know.
The thing about the dire thing, what I didn't get right is like, instantly it became a narrative of he was defending against racism, which there's no racism.
Yeah, it was
something to do with his brother.
The storyline that they come out with was to do with that because he was brought up in Portugal.
Yeah.
And it was to do with Fernandes, was it,
so
that missed the penalty?
So
they were saying, when he was saying my brother, he meant...
Oh.
And I was like...
You can see in the video.
But then you could see him literally dragging his brother, his actual brother.
Looks like a clone, actually.
Yeah, and you know, and then Mourinho pretty much nipped everything in the bud in terms of the speculation by saying that obviously Dyer was getting a bit of abuse in the stands. His family was sitting there, including his brother, and his brother took exception to some of the abuse, and it all kicked off. But can't be doing that, man.
All right, well, that lines up a good segue into the topic we have from AAH Sport this week, which is about the biggest derbies in the Premier League.
Okay.
So, here's a clip.
The biggest derbies in English football, which is it? Someone go.
I should be sitting here talking about the Merseyside derby. I should be sitting here telling you guys that there's 400 metres between the two stadiums. But we know the bidders are irrelevant. I can't sit here and talk about that in good conscience when I know that the man to my left, your club, is the derby. That's the fixture I look for every single time that they come out. And I wonder how you feel about that, mate.
We were your bogey team in the 80s. You always won leagues, but we always had the thing over here. And when it was vice versa, you had it over us in the 90s.
All right, so yeah, go check out the full video on AAH Sports channel. The link is in the description, and let them know what you think. Who has the biggest derby in the Premier League? Now, for me, it's got to be Arsenal Tottenham. I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. It's on the pitch, off the pitch, in the stands. It's just nothing but mayhem. If you genuinely don't understand how fierce the rivalry between Arsenal and Spurs is, I suggest you go into one of the games on your bucket list and go and watch it. There are huge other derbies, you know, West Ham, Millwall, that's huge. But those games only come around when, you know, there's a cup game. Or Tottenham Arsenal is every season, guaranteed twice.
Yeah.
And when we go to White Hart Lane or whatever they call that place now, you're literally putting your life on the line.
It's the only game where you'll see Ty not wearing colours.
Literally.
He's literally the merchandise man, and that's one game where that's when I knew that this was like, this is really serious on the ground.
It's ruthless. Yeah. It's so bad. Manchester United, Man City, not a derby. Absolute nothing to it. Man United, Liverpool's bigger derby than the Manchester derby, and I think Manchester United fans, if you ask them, they'll say the same thing. Liverpool, Everton. It's a friendly derby. You've got family members all sitting with each other. Can you imagine sitting in the North Bank and you've got a Tottenham fan sat next to you and you're just having a chat and a cup of tea? And that's not going to happen, mate.
What would you say is West Ham's biggest derby in the league?
In the Premier League.
We're talking Premier League derbies in this topic.
Just for pure hatred, I think Tottenham
as well. Yeah.
I think Tottenham.
So
everyone hates Tottenham.
It's when we go. I just think it's when we go to their place. I mean, you look at what happened last night, for instance. Just in their nature, I think, just to be nasty. I think like when you go there, I think they're just nasty, vindictive people, and they're just. You said it, not me.
Done again.
I told you. We was filming there. I was telling you just before we come over here. We was filming there last year. We're sitting there filming. A guy comes over. I won't repeat what he was saying, but he was standing there while we was filming. Just wouldn't have it. You know, the stewards were sort of ushering us out. We're standing there filming outside. We just beat them. Guy standing there just yapping off, calling us also, what I would class as a racist term. Yapping off. So I said to him, what are you going to do about it? He says, I'm not going to do nothing. So I whopped him. Simple as that. So, you know, it's just, they're just there to get under your skin. They really get under my skin.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think it's any coincidence, like we were saying, that everybody hates them. If you go and speak to Chelsea, yes, there's a Chelsea-West Ham thing, but Chelsea hate Spurs. You go speak to West Ham, they hate Spurs.
All the London teams are staple in the Premier League. They all say it's Tottenham that they hate them.
Constant.
Yeah.
It's always them. And, you know, there's so many stories that you hear about Spurs fans and what happens after games. And, you know, I've spoken to fans or read online from fans of the most random clubs that have no history of anything to do with Tottenham being attacked after the game. You know, Tottenham's, the old White Hart Lane especially, was notorious for constant
it wasn't really
trouble.
set up right, really, and like there's the time when they had an incident with Robbie as well.
Tottenham High Road, you literally put your life on the line when you walk on Tottenham High Road.
Well, I was walking back there, it's obviously violence going everywhere. And you see them, remember that, like you used to walk down the aisle and in between like shops and stuff, there was like little gateways where they was coming out.
They'd be waiting.
And they'd be waiting in there. And as you walk past, they'd run out behind sort of police escorts and stewards and stuff. They'd start punching, but then they'd run back in. And you know what I mean? I've seen them like attack like dads with their daughters and stuff, you know what I mean? Like coming out there. I honestly, I had a row with someone a few years ago saying, like, he said to me, you're scared to go there. I said, look, I'm not scared to go there. I just don't like it. I just don't like this new place. It's a little bit more easier to sort of navigate your way around without sort of bumping into.
Yeah, what is it actually like?
It's okay
because it's on the other side now, isn't it?
Yeah, you go. You don't have to go like. I'll be honest with you, I don't reckon. But you don't have to go like Park Lane and all that sort of stuff, and they just sort of bring you in from a station. It's one road and it's pretty easy access, and they've got the road sort of cut off and everything else. So,
do you know what I found funny was a few years ago. I think it was the FA Cup when they got Millwall, and then that's when you saw like. Their Millwall man was sticking it on them. I saw one guy's like, yeah, go and have it, and he just
there was a video that went viral of a guy with his younger son who was probably like early 20s or something, and they were standing together on the side of the road where the Millwall fans were being walked along, and they were saying 8 Millwall, effing 8 Millwall. And this one guy, you see him just go like this, look round, bang, good night. And it was just, listen, if there's...
Not that we condone any violence.
Yeah, not that we condone that, but it's a great video.
But, all right, so let me ask you a question now. What's your most memorable North London derby? You've been to countless ones, I'm assuming.
Winning the league there. Yeah, it has to be. Has to be winning the league at White Hart Lane. My dad was at White Hart Lane when we won it the first time. And growing up, those were the stories that he kept telling me about. It was, you know, the emotions, the feelings. We took over White Hart Lane that day. They said there was up to 40, 50,000 Arsenal fans in the stadium and about 40,000 locked out of the stadium.
That's crazy.
And it was just, to be able to witness that and experience it at first hand as well was just a undescribable feeling, and the emotions. And then the other one was probably when we went there just before they changed it all around and knocked it down, and the away end got smashed up.
Oh, the Flamini goal.
Yeah, and all the advertising boardings got ripped off and thrown, and we were locked in the stadium for over an hour. And it was a great night.
For me, I haven't really been to many North London derbies, so this one I watched. I would say the 5-2 when we came back. I didn't even watch that game live because I was at work. I used to work the weekends at H&M, and I remember checking my phone and I was like 2-0 down. I was like, fucking, or whatever it was. And then the way we came back in that game, and then when I got home tonight to see those highlights, it was I was wishing I could have been in that game. And then
it's the one game,
the one where Fabregas scored literally right from the kickoff.
Oh yeah,
Like
he
the
scored,
Halloween 2009,
something like that. Yeah, and then he run off the knee slide right in the corner flag.
Yeah,
So
that
he scored
was-
2 goals in a couple of minutes. But
That was mad.
yeah, man.
What about you? It's not North London derby, but games against Tottenham. Which one would
We
you
beat
say?
them last year.
Yeah.
First team to score there, first team to beat them there.
Oh, that was brilliant, man.
Yeah, that was gutting.
Yeah,
they really did want it to be.
What was his Mikel Antonio, wasn't it? He done the celebration, didn't it? And it looked like he was going
like
for
the
a dump.
Gangnam style thing.
But it was
yeah.
like he was going for a dump, wasn't it? And I think people started doing the memes with that as well and putting toilets underneath him, like he was actually going for a
I was there. We beat them 3-0 there when Morrison
Ravel Morrison.
Ravel
done
Morrison,
that,
yeah.
yeah,
dribbled
man.
round their old team.
Yeah, that was a really good game.
We beat them in the cup there when we were trash as well at the time.
Yeah,
And,
I remember that as well. You seem to have some good results at their place.
Do you know what? It's sort of especially since we moved to the new place, they seem to beat us there, and we seem to beat us at their gaff. But yeah, we have had some good wins there, especially when we've
you know,
been
like when
rubbish.
you go there, because obviously it is effectively White Hart Lane. You know, unlike the Emirates where we have actually moved to a different part. Can you still feel or have a sense of White Hart Lane, or is it just completely just?
It's completely different. I've got to say, I'm going to give them a bit of credit. The stadium is unbelievable. It is an unbelievable place, but it feels completely different. Because I remember the intimidation of the away fans used to start. You know, Park Lane, when you got the Park Lane corner, I used to call them the Park Lane jumpers because there's always standing behind coppers, jumping up and down. But like they could, there's 5 coppers and 500 people. If they wanted to come, they'd come. But there don't seem to be that intimidation factor anymore. But you know, it doesn't feel like White Hart Lane. It feels like a completely different place.
Yeah.
It's just the access ways and how you get into it.
I'll let you know next month.
So we've spoken about Premier League derbies and that now. What would you say do you think are the most prolific ones outside of the Premier League?
Celtic Rangers.
Celtic Rangers.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
And then obviously River Plate.
River Plate,
Boca
that's
Juniors.
the Super Classico.
Yeah. Obviously Barcelona and Real Madrid. El Clasico. And top of my head, that's
Red
Milan
Star.
derby's pretty
Red
big.
Star.
Red Star, Partizan.
Partizan, yeah, and we've been to Red Star.
That's one derby I'd love to experience, boy.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, that'd
Be crazy.
Yeah, there are a lot fiercer derbies than the Arsenal Spurs one. Olympiacos.
Panathinaikos.
Yeah, there's
Galatasaray.
Galatasaray, Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce.
Oh, that's Norway.
That's another one I definitely
I
see.
think I'll watch that one on the telly. Yeah, I ain't going to that. So yeah, there's some big ones, huge outside of the Premier League. But for me, yeah, Premier League, I have to be biased, and I will say the biggest derby for me is Arsenal Spurs for the intensity and everything else.
For me, it's a bit different in terms of not judging the game now on a personal level. I hate Man United more than I hate Tottenham.
Really?
Yeah. Because reason being, for one, I didn't grow up in London. So
Okay.
I've not got that, like, being from North London and my friends are Tottenham. Like, when I was growing up, I didn't know any Tottenham fans. Most people in Jamaica at the time would have been like United fans and stuff like that.
Okay.
Lots of Jamaicans have a glory hunting tendency. So United were the big team in the 90s. So lots of my friends were United fans. I hated Man United. And it's a question there to be asked is like, do you think that the rivalry of United has ever been fiercer than the North London derby? It's not as fierce nowadays.
No.
But back in June, like the Invincible era, stuff like that, do you think it was fiercer then?
No, it just meant more
Meant more.
because of
He was fighting for the league.
Yeah,
On the pitch, it meant more.
on the pitch. No, because we weren't fighting outside the stadium.
Okay.
They weren't fighting in the stands. There wasn't that kind of intensity that you have with Spurs. It's just, you knew that if you beat Man United, you would win the league.
Yeah.
It was a rivalry rather than a hatred, I would
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
it was a
competitive rivalry. Yeah.
Whereas Tottenham, it's just we
Pure hatred.
completely detest everything
Yeah,
about them.
yeah.
And how do you feel about West Ham?
I'm calm with West
Calm West
Ham.
Ham.
At the end of the day, we all know there's pretty documented rivalries between Arsenal and West Ham from the ICF days back in the day, and certain things that happened and stuff. But when you're talking the modern era and stuff like that, there's, I can go to West Ham's and I'm talking even Upton Park. I've been able to walk down Green Street, and it's not like the Green Street, the film.
Yeah.
where you're thinking you're just going to get chased everywhere and everything else. And
he died, so that's
at the end of the day, you have to have your wits about you, and you do have to be careful because there are some people out there that will take exception.
That would be
but
anywhere,
that's anywhere.
Yeah.
You just don't take the piss. And, maybe then as well it was a bit easier because I'm not as recognised as I am now. So maybe walking down Green Street now would be a lot more difficult for me and Robbie and whatnot.
But you don't really get onto West Ham fans anyway.
It's not, because even their new stadium, when we walk there, to get into where West Ham Stadium is, the Olympic Stadium, you have to go through West Ham fans.
Yeah.
There's no exception. There's no way of getting around it. Even when you have to go through them stupid
queues
to go through like the metal detectors and everything. You're with West Ham. And you don't get no abuse or anything. You get the odd use. It's the standard.
To get to that
stuff.
stadium, it's like preparing for the Olympics or the walking.
It is, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. If you're up the back, take your binoculars, man. Dear Lord.
Trust me.
Yeah, we'll get on to West Ham because I think you lot have been stitched
we're playing West Ham this weekend.
That's probably why I'm here.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to let everyone know that Nicky's actually
segueing into that, but yeah, West Ham's not really had the best season, and in the summer, he's looking like you did invest, and he's thinking now you're gonna crack on, not gonna be amazing, but not gonna be a relegation.
No, I didn't. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it would be a relegation battle for West Ham this year. I thought we'd be. The thing is, when you look at it now, in hindsight, everybody's had a bad season.
Yeah,
every team, apart from Liverpool, everybody's had a bad season. Arsenal not up there. Tottenham ain't even doing well. Man City, by their standards, everyone by their standards are not doing well. You've got Leicester overachieving. You've got Wolves and Sheffield United who would probably be happy with the season. But everyone's had a poor season. But
sorry to cut you. Say Leicester overachieving. I heard the other day that they haven't even won a game in like a month or two.
Something like that. But yet they're still third,
and they're still
comfortably.
There. Yeah, so
it just shows how bad it's been. Yeah. But when you look at everything that goes around the club, like the move, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It all looks nice, but the inside is rotten. It's rotten to the core. It's because of the two owners, the infrastructure of the club. You go over to the training ground.
Yeah,
it looks like I used to play there when I was growing up playing football. It hasn't changed. They've just put more buildings there. They've just done a couple more buildings. Infrastructure of the club, the scouting of the club, the identification of players, the backroom staff and everything's just been so poorly run. And to my mind, it's because they've got their move now. That club, when they bought that club, apart from the £100 million they invested, they paid £50 million for the club. The club was on its knees, to be fair. They saw the opportunity to go to Stratford. They're estimating now the club's worth £1 billion. They don't want to invest any more money in it. They've got a couple more years to ride it out. If they can ride it out and stay in the Premier League, they walk away with £1 billion for a £50 million investment.
How long have they been the owners?
10 years. It's their 10th year this year. There's just so much sort of discontent. Everything they do is just, they're in the public all the time. It's always, they won't admit their failures. That's the problem. And I don't expect them to admit their failures, but maybe they should start making a few apologies and say, look, you got David Gold who they sold us on this move to the stadium by saying we will be doing this and we will be doing that and this will give us enough money to do this. You probably know that sort of thing.
I know.
Yeah, and we will be doing that. And then he comes on TalkSport. They was our dreams, not our promises. I'm like, come on.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Has there ever been a period during the ownership where there was like, you felt like you could believe in what was going on, like you could get behind him?
I think
you believed in.
At the beginning, the thing is, they had so many years' grace because we was in such a bad spot.
Yeah.
So, literally, anything would have been better. And if it started to go, sort of fall down, it was like, that was because of the last regime and everything. So they had I would say about 5 or 6 years' grace. I would say between taking over. 2016 come along and we started to do well. We signed Payet. We had that unbelievable season at the Bowling. It was our last one and all that. It was that run up to the last games at the Bowling, taking us to a reservation centre, letting us see the stadium for the first time and all that. When people start going, something's not right here, and they made the move. And then as soon as it's like they've taken off a mask. They're like completely different people. Okay. They're like, we've got what we want now. We owe you nothing.
That's tough. It's from looking from the outside in. It's, you know, you get two people, Gold and Sullivan, that come in and they're West Ham fans. You know, we think like you. We are you. We're, you know, it's like Robbie taking over Arsenal, for example, and just going, yeah, you know, I'm one of you, I'm going to do the best for the club, and, you know, we're going to do this, and you get sold on those dreams. You know, we got sold on being told that we're moving to the Emirates to compete with Barcelona and Bayern and all this and that, and, you know, and lo and behold, we see reports this week of AC Milan turning around and saying, why don't you go back to Arsenal to Gazidit? You're like, you're all right, mate, keep him, off you go. And it's, you know, I feel for West Ham in that respect, because I don't identify with West Ham anymore. I'm of an older generation, and I've grown up going to West Ham's old ground. And I know you call it the bowling, but for me, it's Upton Park.
Yeah, of course.
And it's, you know, I used to hate playing West Ham of a night game at Upton Park, because under the lights, that place was one of the worst places to go to. Crowds on top of you, atmosphere was amazing, and it was just difficult. But now you play West Ham, and you're just kind of like, nice West Ham.
It's like day out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all right, it's cool. And you go to the stadium, and am I right in believing this, that you can't play any Boxing Day games at home?
They deny it, but we never have.
Yeah.
We've been there for nearly 5 years.
What's the reason?
Because Westfield, the shopping centre. Because of the Boxing Day sales. There's too many people in the shopping centre.
Transport infrastructure, they reckon, would suffer because of it.
Yeah, that makes sense there.
Can you actually imagine?
But then that's one thing, you know, that's tradition in football to be able to go. It is tradition.
It's Boxing Day. It's, you know, I know everyone wants these winter breaks and everything, but again, I'm from a generation where I used to love Boxing Day. It was like
the festive season. Especially when you ain't got to go to Swansea or Cardiff or Newcastle or somewhere like that.
Yeah, and that's the issue as well. That's another thing, because it's Christmas time, and then you have to leave. There's no, like, hopefully it might be a London derby, but other than that, you're gonna have to leave and go elsewhere the next day after Christmas. That's not fair, man.
I just don't.
These are the little things that us outside fans don't really realise. These are the little things that will add up and build up to the frustration.
I see everything.
The pressure on the owners is starting to gain now. The media, like the what do you call it? The everyday media, like the papers and Sky, they're starting to realise why we're moaning. I think they used to look at it as if to say, like, what are they moaning about? Because from the outside in, it's easy to see, like, they've just spent £50 million on a striker. That's West Ham. Why are they moaning? The reason we're moaning is not because of what they're doing with the money. It's not the way. Not because they're spending money, but the way they're spending it, and the neglect of everything else, like the training ground and stuff. We've got one of the worst injury records in the Premier League. We've had it for many years. It's because the structure and like, you know, I go to. Like you go to Tottenham's or Leicester's, they've got recovery rooms and dipping pools. We've got a paddling pool in a porta cabin. That's probably our recovery pool. Do you know what I mean? That's probably what it is.
It's like,
we just haven't got for the modern game. Yeah. We just haven't got the infrastructure. They haven't invested enough in the infrastructure of the club and the science of it and all of that sort of stuff.
People don't realise that the training ground is more important than the stadium.
Of course,
because that's where the players spend the majority of their time. And, you know, with London Colney, with us, we've recently undergone a massive, you know, overhaul there. So I remember it was a couple of years ago, we were actually playing at the training ground. We had a charity thing there, and they were in the process of building at the time, and we had to sign these disclaimers when we went in that we weren't allowed to film or show any images with that in the background, because it was all pretty much top secret and whatever it is. And
everyone is invested. It's not a secret. The most successful teams now are investing so much money into their infrastructure, and they're chucking more porta cabins in.
What's your youth setup like?
Our youth setup has always been good. We obviously we've got a few academy graduates coming through, like Declan Rice. Obviously he was at Chelsea, but he came through our. We got a new right back in Gakia. So the youth setup has always been good. I think the youth setup is better than the first team, if I'm honest with you, because they've got more. I think they've got an infrastructure that's been built over many years, a tried and tested method. The same people working there. We had someone called Tony Carr, who bought brought through the likes of Rio Ferdinand and Frank Lampard and
he's
Joe
still there?
Cole. He's just left.
Okay.
But even the way he was sort of relieved of his duties left a bit of a bitter taste in people's mouths. But I think there's a lot of people there that have done it for many years, so they've got the structure of that. I think that, honestly, that setup is better than our first team setup.
So the protests now, you've got protests going on. I thought, right, that the turning point would have been, you know, when the fans invaded the pitch and did all that
corner flag and
corner
everything.
flag and stuff, Galatasaray style, and you know, I thought that would have been the point where the owners realised, you know what, we need to get our act together. The fans aren't happy. It's clear. Everyone can see now. It's boiled over. Let's make a change. But from what you're saying and from what I can see on the pitch, nothing's really.
Well, they I don't think they actually understand. These two people, one man is in his 80s, and you've got David Sullivan who's in his 70s. Karen Brady is the chief executive officer or vice president or whatever she does. These two guys, I mean, they're not very social people. I know for a fact through friends and stuff that David Sullivan's a little bit of a recluse. He stays in his office. He doesn't leave the house. He doesn't watch the mainstream media. He's in his office working on things, and he's basically relying on people telling him what's going on the outside world. Yeah,
That confidence as an owner.
David Gold is pretty much the same. He's in his 80s. He's been very ill and he's on all sorts of medication and all that sort of thing. So they can't really grasp what's going on. So when there's people standing in front of them shouting and hollering and chucking their programs at them and all, they probably think, what's going on here? You know, because people inside their circle are not telling them everything that's going on.
So they've got yes men around them.
And all that sort of stuff. So they must have put two and two together and thought, it's the money we're spending. We've got to spend a little bit more money. But it's always, we'll keep them happy for a little while, and then we'll just go back to doing what we're doing. They'll forget, and then the momentum will stop and all that. And that's basically what they do. They are the masters at sort of diversion tactics. So they're like a bulimic person.
They're businessmen.
Right.
Yeah, they're businessmen. So they will sit in front of you and make you think they're eating, but there's a technique that you get where they're just shuffling food around. The distraction. It's the same sort of thing. They're trying to distract you with this, trying to distract you with that, and all that, and trying to fracture the fan base. But now it's just not happening. They're just not getting away with it. People are starting to pick up on it. Mainstream media. You had a guy on Sky absolutely ruin them the other day. He said it was run like a fruit stall. Do you know what I mean? That's one of my favourite quotes I've ever. He said they're running it like
That's very West End, like East End, isn't it? It's just
they're running it like a fruit stall. I've said for years they run it like a car boot sale.
So what is the actual protest process that's happening now? Because I know there's protests going on now.
They want them out.
Yeah.
Straight as that.
Straight as that. It's just like, as you say, they've had 10 years. A few years ago, you know, people asked for change, and that's the thing. People just asking for change, and they're just ignoring people. They're ignoring like fan affiliated. Like protest groups and like fan groups and stuff. Don't want to meet with them, want everything on their terms, and people just had enough. They're just saying, no, it's not good enough. You know, you've had your chances to change. We've put so many opportunities in front of you to start to change. You do it short term and then you go back to running it how you're running it. That's enough now.
Has there been any like inkling that someone may be interested in taking the club off of them? Because with Arsenal now, you know, most fans aren't happy with the ownership, and you've had the likes of Dangote come out recently and say like, even 2021 he would like to buy Arsenal. Has there been anyone that's kind of, you know, said anything along the lines of they're interested in West Ham?
Personally, and this is my own personal opinion, and I've heard rumblings of this, I think they've already got someone lined up.
Okay.
The problem is when they took this stadium, they signed a clause in a contract that says they can't sell it for 10 years. And if they sold it for 10 years, they have to hand 30% of the profit back to Newham Council because of the stadium and all that. So they've got this 2022 clause it is. So they can sell the club in 2022, and that's when they can sell the club without a...
so they're riding it
like
off.
a fine, yeah. So they're basically...
They're fixed up, because if you get relegated, that's...
I don't think it affects them too much because in the short, they're so in the short term. The fact that they would, if they sold now, they'd have to earn back 30% profit, right? So they go down now, they get parachute payments for 2 years, which will cover them. Plus, you're going to be selling.
Jesus Christ.
You're going to be selling Haller, Anderson, Rice, Diop, all them guys, and they're probably going to make money by going down.
My word, it's mad, isn't it?
That's crazy.
It is mad when you think about it.
Speaking on protests now, I don't know if you've seen our fan cams this week.
Yeah, I did
Turkish
see.
said,
yeah, it's caused a bit of a stir.
talking about a walkout in the 49th minute against Liverpool. Let me ask you first. What do you think about that?
My thoughts, like, I've spoken to Turkish openly about quite a few things with the protests and stuff, and I don't feel that it should happen during a match. I don't feel that it should. I don't feel that we're at that point where it's that bad to walk out during a match in the 49th minute. The players need us.
Yeah.
And I feel that for 90 minutes, everyone should put their differences aside. Whether you like AFTV, whether you like me, whether you like this player, that player, or whoever, for 90 minutes, you're Arsenal fans. So everyone get behind each other. If you're going to do protests and if you want to make change, then organise something that everybody will get behind, because there's a lot of fans that I've spoken to and they've asked my opinion this week on it, and they don't like Kroenke. They want him out, but they're not willing to walk out in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
Because they feel that they'll be letting the players down.
Yeah.
I said
on my show, What You Saying, make sure you check that out, plug. With Bath, we discussed that, and I was saying, like, now the way things have been going, we still actually have a chance of top 4.
Yeah.
And so every game matters. Every game we need to be, as a fan base, 100% behind the team. And a walkout, that in that game as well, I don't think, and at that time, there's still so much time left in the game. Maybe if you said like in the 89th minute.
Yeah, I can understand the sentiment behind it, and I understand.
It makes sense. It makes sense, but also it doesn't make sense for that time.
I think
in my opinion.
I think a protest, there's so many different sort of aspects to a protest. You've got to do it at the right time. You know, we've got a thing at the moment with a protest: support the team, not the regime, and I think that goes throughout football. I think it's so easy, and the thing is, what with me as well, it's so easy for people to use that as an excuse and flip the blame on you. So you are sort of saying it's your wrongdoing. But a protest during a game, and especially if you lose the game, it's so easy for them to turn around and say it's their fault. Yeah. The key, and then you lose that sort of
traction.
Yeah, you lose that traction. The key thing of sympathy. The key thing of a protest, I think, is that everyone that is going to benefit from this protest has to be unified. So now the fact that we're having to discuss whether or not we should do the protest like this, that shows that it's probably not the best method.
No, it isn't.
Because if anyone suggests a protest that's going to work, then everyone needs to be like, that's the protest we're going to do. I'm behind that. Let's all push that.
The key part of a protest as well is that it takes planning, first and foremost. You can't turn around and just go, oh, you know what, let's go and protest on Saturday or whatever, and like a big scale one, which is going to make a difference. Now, when we play Liverpool, where is it? It's a long way away yet before we play Liverpool. Let's say, you know, Turkish goes ahead with this plan and he wants to, you know, implement his idea and starts planning things and getting banners or whatever it is he decides. And by then, we go on a run, we're doing well, we're in the top 4, we're in the Champions League place, playing Liverpool, and you walk out in the 49th minute. It's, you know, it is tough. It is tough. I fully get his understanding. I'm fully behind it as well. And I feel that, you know, this summer's a big summer for not just us as a club, but Stan Kroenke, Josh Kroenke and all them, because Mikel Arteta has to get the back in. Yeah. And if he doesn't get the back in, the fans will turn. And that will be when we say, right, listen, no, enough is enough. And so far, look, Unai Emery was backed in the summer. He was backed.
He was, yeah.
You know, and when we were spending £72 million on Nicolas Pepe, nobody was screaming Kroenke out. You know, when Josh Kroenke done his interview and he said, be excited. And then all of a sudden, we signed Pepe and stuff. We were there like, yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was, you're backing your talk. So what you need to do now in the summer is back your talk and back the new man, because what we see is a manager that I feel the whole fan base is behind. Yeah. I feel that we can see progression. Yeah, we're at the Europa League, right? We're in March. We've lost one game in 2020. We're in March. We haven't lost an away game since Unai Emery was manager.
Yeah. I think this is our
And
best
that was
away
one-
run since 2016 December.
One of the biggest problems we've had, even under Arsene Wenger, was our away form. It was dreadful. So Mikel Arteta has come in and said, right, these are what I need to do for now to plug certain parts of the... And yes, there's some games where it's been a detriment to our strike force because we've had to be so defensive-minded.
Yeah.
But it's built a platform, it's built a base, and we're watching it as fans and saying, I can see something. Yes, there's going to be bumps in the road. There always was going to be bumps in the road. Olympiacos was a bump. But now I'm looking at it and I'm sitting there and saying, and I said this on the podcast last week with Robbie, I said, at the end of the season, we could go, you know what, the best thing to ever happen to us was to be knocked out.
It could be a silver lining, and also like the fact that the likes of Tottenham still in European football.
At the moment, they still are. They all
Chelsea, they might be out, but you know,
Yeah,
if by some miracle they went to the next round, that would benefit us as well. Man United still in the Europa League, so all our key rivals.
Wolves are still in the Europa League.
All our key rivals, bar Sheffield United, it's funny saying that, are still occupied in European football. We've now got more rest time.
Yeah.
We've got...
I think Chelsea are on the slide as well.
Yeah,
I think
they're so inconsistent.
They are.
it's shit. I was saying this to Rob on the phone the other day. I think I think they'll really slide off now. I think they'll really slide. It's just that because of the transfer ban and the new manager and all that, they had a brilliant start. They had that sort of leap, you know,
It's the momentum.
Not only the momentum, but these kids getting tired now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a physical season, playing Champions League football and FA Cup games and all of this sort of stuff.
And there's a lot of kids.
And there's a lot of kids in that team.
Yeah.
You know, he's put youth in, which is brilliant. It's brilliant for the English game.
Because he had to.
Yeah.
Because he had to, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as they were allowed to start buying people in the summer, I think Lampard would be gone, if I'm honest.
Well, the thing is I've said this to Chelsea fans, and you know, he might have scored the winning goal against us at the Emirates that time, but with Chelsea being able to buy players, I don't think Tammy Abraham's going to be the Chelsea striker for long. There's no way he's Chelsea's first choice. If Chelsea want to get back to the days of, you know, winning the Premier League and Champions League and whatever, Tammy Abrahams is not going to be your first choice striker. It's as simple as that. So, you know, it's just not going to happen, and it's...
Drew's the best they've got at the moment.
But that's what I mean, and
his
that's the thing.
His days are numbered.
It's not going to be, you know, and looking at ourselves and everything, and like I said, it's just we lost to Olympiacos, right? Now let's just say, for example, Manchester City were not in the Carabao Cup final. We'd have had to play them on the Sunday after playing that game on Thursday. Then our cup game against Portsmouth would have been Wednesday, I think it was, this week. So we'd have then had to play the game on the Wednesday. Then we're going into the game against West Ham on Saturday. Then next week we would have had the first leg of the
16
of the the Europa League.
Yeah.
Then we go into the game against Brighton. You know, so
That's away as well.
and that's away. So we're already sitting there, and then we play the second leg, and then I think we play. Do we play after that? I think it's a home game or something. But there's just constant 3 days rest or so. 3 days rest, and
Well, I think
we don't have the squad for that.
You've just seen Mourinho. I think he was in the press this morning saying he's had to go to the board and say, what do I do? Do I concentrate on the league or do I concentrate on the Champions League? That's how much a European competition takes away from it. And they've got a relatively big squad, you know. It's that,
And they've got a few key injuries.
as well,
It's a
and all
shame,
that
innit?
sort of stuff. But I think it's a fantastic chance for Arsenal to take advantage, because, as I said, I think Chelsea has started to slip off now. They've had fantastic first half of the season, second half. Tottenham, the Mourinho magic's going. It was never there to be. It was never there. He's a
I
washed up
told people
manager.
before they got him, everyone that used to come on this show and the fan cams, I kept saying, get Mourinho, get Mourinho.
See, I've obviously, for obvious reasons, I've not really been on Laurie's case, but
Listen,
Curtis is one.
He was one of the main ones.
Curtis is one.
If you watch West Ham Fan TV, there's people asking me about Mourinho, and I said I wouldn't take him. And we've got David Moyes.
Do you know what I
Now
mean?
that's saying something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a washed-up man. I said it for years and years. He's a washed-up manager. All he worries about is himself. He has to spend to thing his ego. I think the Chelsea thing he had 2 spells at Chelsea. He's had fallings out in both of them. The thing that made me think about him it's just a self-indulgent man. That's the problem. The thing that made me think about is that doctor stuff at Chelsea at that time. Hazard's land, you don't know what's wrong with him. He could have a broken leg, he could have a career-threatening injury, and he's telling the doctor, leave him there, because we might score a goal. in the hindsight of it, and that's when people started to turn against him, and he started to.
And everyone loved that physio as well. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, and he's telling him to leave. He's crumpled up on.
Not just Chelsea fans.
we all love watching him run on. I tell you.
I was waiting for that bit, but yeah,
but it's just things like that. He's a washed-up manager, and I think all the good work they've done at Tottenham under the last manager, they had a little bit of a blip at the beginning of the season. They're all calling for him out. They're getting edges for a wall.
Now
I
they want
love
him
it.
back.
And
They
I
all
love it.
want Poch back now.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. But the thing is, do you know what? It's going to be very expensive to get rid of Jose now. Very expensive. Unlucky, boys. You
Like
can
10
keep
million a
it.
season or something.
It's ridiculous. He's like one of the highest
Yeah,
paid
yeah,
managers in the Premier League.
Second.
Second highest paid manager in the Premier League. It's like,
And
listen,
now there's no trophies.
Yeah,
It was
well,
like Mourinho's going to bring trophies.
that's what
there's
they.
no
Oh
trophies.
yeah, that was it. What was it? Trophy Mourinho, wasn't it? Was he was referenced by expressions?
I didn't know it have to be some
Trophy-less Mourinho, shall we say? But it's, you know, I noticed there's no sympathy in this room for Tottenham in any way, shape or form. But yeah, like I said, that I feel that could be perfect for us because it means that, you know, we had the weekend off from the Premier. Yes, we've got to go to Man City next week. Look, we know that, and that's our game in hand. But the bonus to that game is there is no actual pressure on that Man City game, first and foremost. One, Man City, the pressure's on them because they do still have to keep trying to hope that Liverpool are going to just have this mighty blip. It's not going to happen. But as a professional, you've got to go. You've got to go out there and.
What is the point difference between them?
It's like 20 odd points, something like that. It's not going to happen. But you have, as a professional, have got to still. And plus,
and also you have to keep that gap.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Man City will want to keep this momentum and doing things is because, as it stands, Liverpool can go and win the league at the Etihad. So they've got to try and, you know, so they're going to be professional. Plus, obviously, Pep ain't going to want to lose to Mikel after everything else. So, but given the results at the weekend, there's less pressure on us because Chelsea, they drew. Tottenham lost. I think it was Burnley drew. United drew. So all the results, apart from Wolves winning at Spurs, went in our favour. You imagine most of all those win, you're going, oh my God, look at our game in hand. So no one's got a lead. It's kind of like a gimme. It's like a little free.
Still enough games left as well.
There's loads of games left. And yes, we've got tough games, but, you know, and I've had this argument with Robbie when I said that Liverpool come into the Emirates. And I said to him, I actually think that would be a great time to play Liverpool now. Because he's like, yeah, but what if they're coming to be invincible? And I said, they'll lose before they come to the Emirates, trust me.
I thought they would. I always thought as well that they would lose to a team that we wouldn't expect them to lose to. I didn't think it was going to be a big team to finally knock them out.
I'll be honest with you, we should have beat them.
Yeah,
we should have beat them.
Yeah, you should have beat
Fabianski, man.
Flapianski, there's a reason why we called him that.
The funny thing is, right, Fabianski has been absolutely amazing.
He's been brilliant for West
He's been
Ham.
amazing, right? And I was watching this podcast actually with you and Robbie talking about the best keepers in the league. And I was just about to message you and go, how can you not mention Fabianski? How can you not mention him? He's like the best. And then the week before he punched one at Ogbonna and he hit him on the back of the head and went in. And then he fumbled. I think all three goals were his fault, especially. Yeah, and then I thought to myself, I'll put that computer away.
So
just
I'll shut that down.
How do you feel about the game on the weekend, West Ham? Are you confident going into that match?
I am confident because we've got such a good record against West Ham. I know they were the first team to ever win at the Emirates a very long time ago. You seem to have this habit, like we were saying with Spurs, first time at their stadium. But
their last 5 games, they've only won once. And the whole time we've been at Emirates, they've only won twice.
Yeah, so, you know, we've got reason to be confident. We've had a nice break since the Portsmouth game. And then even better is that we didn't really play anyone that will play in this game. When you look at it realistically, Pepe and Lacazette were on the bench and never came on. Aubameyang, Ozil was sat at home. David Luiz is probably the one that will play. Bellerin, you got to say, will come back in. Mustafi, we don't know what he's like. Tierney's back now in full training and fit.
But there's one issue though, it's Torreira, man.
Torreira, man, I'm so
what is
pissed,
I haven't
man.
seen it. I forgot to check the updates
Fractured
on the injury.
ankle. Fractured
So
ankle.
what's the time on that? Is that like
They
2
haven't got
months?
time because it's still badly swollen.
That's probably
but
the season though, isn't it?
could well be fractured ankle, but then you look at it depends the severity of it. Is it a
If it's
severity
a hairline
of
fracture, it's
because
weeks.
it
And
could
if it's
be
if it's
a
a
minor
proper
one.
fracture,
But
it's 6 months.
a lot of them they won't ever know the extent until bruising goes down and swelling and whatnot. But
the silver lining you could say, or the positive look you could have on that is now Ceballos.
Because he's been doing
gets,
well.
He gets a run in, and now we can see whether he's going to be a player that we decide to keep. He can staple his name in the Arsenal team.
Yeah, and it's also an opportunity for Guendouzi because I think that the issue with Guendouzi is that he's fallen down the pecking order a little bit. It's very obvious that he had a bit of a tantrum in Dubai, and Mikel Arteta put his foot down and said, "Nah, not round me, mate." And he was dropped for the Newcastle game completely, weren't even in the squad.
No.
And his attitude does seem to have changed in the games after that. So you've got to say that maybe that was a wake-up call and maybe a good opportunity for Guendouzi to try and, stake his claim. I just feel that I'm so gutted for Torreira, man, because I think he's so important.
Who's your front three? Your starting front three for that game?
What, the three? Because we play 4-2-3-1, don't we? So it's more front four, isn't it?
Yeah.
So front four, I'll have Pepe on the right, Ozil in a 10, Martinelli on the left, and Aubameyang up front.
I agree with that. In the comments below, let us know what you'd like to see.
He's looking thinking, oh, Jesus Christ. It's just like, and you've got to remember as well, the one thing I will say is that I think West Ham are going to get a backlash from Aubameyang. I think that he's had a nice rest. I think that he's got over what happened against Olympiacos and everything.
He'd be even more fired up as well.
And he's going to be fired up. And he now needs one goal to reach 50 goals, 50 Premier League goals, and he will be the fastest Arsenal player in history.
Has any Premier League player reached 50 goals faster than him? Maybe
I'm not sure, but he's about 12 games ahead of schedule of Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
That says everything you need to know about how phenomenal this guy is.
If Aubameyang ends his career at Arsenal, I can see him just smashing all the records.
I had this conversation with Robbie, and I said that Ian Wright joined us very late, and he's still got that amount of goals. But if Aubameyang was 28, 29...
No, but you say that, but then you got this new age of 30-year-olds.
Yes,
you know what I mean, that take care of themselves. There's Ibrahimovic,
and his injury
Ronaldo.
record is phenomenal.
Yeah.
His injury record, touch wood, it's phenomenal.
Especially for someone of his frame as well, who does quite well to not get injured.
So it's more impressive because if you look at the team that Henry was playing in, you know what I mean, and he had youth on his side and all that, and he was playing with some of the best players in the world at the time.
And he's playing out on the wing as well.
Yeah. So he does predominantly play out on the wing a lot of the time, and he's joint top goal scorer in the Premier League. Won the Golden Boot last season,
and he missed last season, Aubameyang missed so many sitters. There's so many goals. I think he could have been clear by 10 goals.
Yeah, he could have been well clear. So it's top goal scorer. Listen, that for me will be the best attacking formation for me. I think Reece Nelson's in for a shout after his performance against Portsmouth. Really but what I will say about Reece is that he needs to now do that consistently. He needs to, if he comes on against West Ham with 20 minutes to go, he needs to, run at the fullbacks, take people on, be dangerous, get an assist, or do something that makes you say, "Oh, he's knocking on the door there." Do you know what I mean? So, yes, it's going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to the game. I do think we'll win. I do think that as well. At the same time, it's what West Ham turns up.
Yeah.
Because I was watching you guys when you were playing Man City, and you turned up to that game at Man City, and it was as if David Moyes had turned around and went, "Right, lads, we're not winning today. Whatever you do, don't get battered."
Yeah.
Because goal difference could be crucial at the end of the season. So don't let this be a 4-5 or whatever. 1 or 2 is cool. And I don't think West Ham even come out of gear. And that's why I can't work West Ham out, because a week later, you then go to a team that's even more feared than Man City and Liverpool. And you're like, right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's attack. Let's just go for it. So what West Ham turns up?
I got some stats here on West Ham.
You tell me.
I got some stats here.
You've got as much clue as I have.
You've had no clean sheets in the last 8 league games. So with our attacking force now, that's...
you're setting us up for failure right now, don't you?
No, I'm not setting up for failure. I'm just,
He's just like, no, it's going to be 9. 9 games. It's fine.
Since we beat them in December, they've only won 3 league games.
Oh, that's half of the games we've won all season.
Wow.
Wow.
Haller, he signed for £36 million. He's got 7 goals and 1 assist in 26 appearances. What have you made of that signing?
He don't work hard enough. He had
a decent start.
He's a very good number 10, but he's played 25 of them games without anyone beside him there's nothing he can do. He's not that type of player. He's not someone that's got a burst of speed or creates his own chances. He's someone that the sort of Teddy Sheringham role, drops off, picks up the ball, spreads the ball, and then gets himself into the box, gives it, provides goals for other people. It's just not being given that opportunity. He's been chucked into like the role Andy Carroll left. You're the focal point, blah blah, and he's just not that type of player. You can just sit. But saying that, this week we got it spot on. Antonio's playing up with him. Antonio is a player. He's just so raw that he's very difficult to play against. He's got pace, he's got power, he can score goals, and defenders and stuff don't like playing against
Antonio's on the right side, isn't he?
He was playing on the right side, but so it was sort of inverting from a 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2, and that sort of thing. Fornals is coming into
Do
you think you would do that formation against us though at the Emirates?
I don't think we've got a choice.
So you're saying Fornals is
what's your injuries like?
Bad.
What's defensive? Is Cresswell playing?
Cresswell will be playing. We've got no right back unless we've got Zabaleta. So it'd be Ngakia playing at right back.
Oh dear God! If it's Zabaleta, man. I know Zabaleta.
Yarmolenko is he out?
No, he's still out. Yarmolenko's out. Socek is our new signing. He's been very impressive. He's out for another couple of weeks until the Spurs game.
And what's your centre back?
Diop and Ogbonna, very good pairing. Been playing really well.
So that's the solidity them two there.
Yeah. I think to be honest with you. Going into the game, we don't expect anything at the Emirates. We'd be mad to expect anything at the Emirates. We're hopeful. The only thing I would say, if it was 6 weeks ago, and your defensive frailties were still there, I think we would have had a chance. But everything's just solidifying for Arsenal now.
I think we've got 4 clean sheets in the last 6 games or something like that.
Solidifying. So it's going to be very difficult. But it's a free swing. We've targeted the games we need to pick up the points in, and this isn't one of them.
How many points are you off relegation at the moment?
We just got out of it. 2.
Oh,
Jesus Christ! Yeah, so you got everything to fight for, haven't you?
We've got to fight. Yeah, we've got to fight. But the Southampton game, they've been in good form as well. We showed something there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a good result.
Yeah, I thought the fight had completely gone.
Right.
I thought that they're just sort of resigning themselves to that. It's not working. But the Liverpool game picked up confidence. The Southampton game picked up confidence. So it'll be a decent game. It'll be a decent game. I think it'll be a tight one. I think it'll be tighter than you expect.
Get a score prediction from you.
I think Arsenal win 2-1.
2-1?
Yeah.
4-1.
I'm going to say the standard Arsenal West Ham scoreline is just 3-1.
Yeah, no, the only reason why
the
only reason why I say 4-1 is not a disrespectful thing. I just feel that if we play like we did in the second half over at the Olympic Stadium, where we play with intensity and pace, then we can pull West Ham apart, because where we stepped up, we had a 15-20 minute spell where we literally just upped one gear and we were just going through them at will. And it was, West Ham seemed like a club that if they go behind, it becomes difficult for them to try and go. It's kind of like
it's in front more than behind. Well, we've dropped 22 points from winning positions this year.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
22. That's the difference between being like in relegation zone and
been in the Champions League.
Champions League. It's going to be a battle for the Champions League.
Well, this season it could be a battle for second place with that kind of gap.
Probably, yeah. We've dropped 22 points from winning positions. We've also been. We've got the biggest point deficit for VAR. So we've lost 7 points for VAR.
So we're probably second after them, then, isn't it?
I think you're close.
We've lost a few, man, and we might go back and bang our heads in.
We was all sitting there last season. When VAR comes in, we'll win the league.
Oh, no, man. Ain't work like that, is it? Because the officials are still shit. That's what you've got to remember.
The key thing is the officials, really.
Yeah, the technology's not the problem. The people managing it are.
VAR could be an excellent thing, but when you're missing blatant penalties, but then seeing that someone's toenail was offside, you just it leaves a bit of taste. Difficult.
I've seen games where I've seen it used properly. I think it was like the week after the Aubameyang thing happened against Palace when he got sent off.
Yeah.
And I watched Inter Milan. I can't remember who it was they played. But they had 2 incidents of having to look at VAR, and the ref went and looked at the screen.
Yeah.
He got told, I think he might have made a mistake, went and looked at the screen. He even looked at it for like a minute, just like making sure, kept replaying it. Then he made his decision, which I thought was the correct decision, because I think initially they said it's sending off, and then he decided no, it was a yellow card, and this was like 20 minutes into the game.
I do think that it's one of them things though where if you have to look at it 10 times, you can't expect him to get it right. If that makes sense. There's been decisions happen.
Well, at least they look. That's the thing. The Premier League refs seem too arrogant to even bother to take a look or whatever.
I don't know. It just it's sanitising the game. That's the thing. I think the rawness and the passion of referees making mistakes and everything else and all of that sort of stuff, having something to
fans are scared to celebrate.
Yeah. But if you have to draw them lines which are not entirely accurate all the time, to decipher whether he's offside or not, how do you expect these people to see that? They can't see it. Eyes can't see it unless you move to some camera running up and down the line that's alerting the referee. How are they expected to see it? It can't be done. It can't
Let's
be
just
done.
hope we're talking about the game and not VAR.
Oh yeah.
So, guys, leave your score predictions in the description, in the comments. Let us know what you think. Thanks for joining us today.
No
Nicky.
problem.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Make sure you
Nice
guys
to see
check
you.
out West Ham Fan TV. They've been going strong for years. How long has the channel been going for?
4 and a bit years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still going strong, you know. Hopefully.
We're just I've just been made redundant at work, so we've been doing it part time. So we're not been obviously had enough time to sort of chuck ourselves into it. But I think I'm gonna chuck myself into it.
Yeah, man.
So.
You got to, man. And I think a lot of people, other fans do tune into West Ham Fan TV for not for the reasons you would really want to, but you guys still do a good job and have been doing a good job for.
I think fan voices are the most important voices in the game.
And it's always nice to see other people having a meltdown apart from us.
It's not just about the meltdown. It's just that you like the thing about fan TV. You know your club, DT. You know you are the most watched football fan in the world. You know, they tune in. Some tune in to see you shouting and hollering, but most tune in because they know what you're talking about. And I think that's the important thing, because when you're looking at Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, what do they know about
It's
Arsenal?
raw emotions and it's passion. I've seen some of your ones, and I know like Dom gets a lot of criticism for some of the things he has, the Astra effing go-go and all that kind of stuff, the memes that come out of that and whatever. But I can relate to him because I can see the hurt and I can see that it genuinely, you know what I mean, it means something. And when you look at that as a fellow fan and stuff like that, you can
relate to it.
You can have a laugh and a joke and then wind up and be like, oh, that's hilarious and this and that. But deep down, you're like, I know what he's feeling right now. It's tough.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
and make sure you go grab the AFTV hats in the AFTV store. Link in the description as well.
plugging anything. You don't want to plug anything else?
Nah, man.
No?
Nah, I'm good.
I'll tell you what, I'll plug something. DTFC, go and subscribe and everything.
Dead Team FC. Get out of there, man.